17 prospective recruits fighting for their lives after a military recruitment exercise at the Wak Sports Stadium resulted in 6 deaths after hundreds of applicants attempted to scale the wall to enter the inner perimeter.
Those who are critical and in ICU are 5. We have 12 who are fairly critical.
Now we bring you harrowing details from the deadly stampede that forced the Ghana Armed Forces to suspend all recruitment in Accra.
Enti enkraidia no meka che asoja force omunja yansa na yehwem na yeye nhihye foforo se ne be ya na esi no ensi sabium.
And in Kumasi reports emerging tonight that another recruit is in critical condition as acting defense minister briefs Parliament promising a full investigation.
The Ghana Armed Forces has instituted an internal board of inquiry to investigate the causes of this unfortunate incident.
We'll bring you all of those details here on Top Story, always brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy Holy Sleep, and also by Shield Pension Trust, into the future with you. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Screams, panic and chaos at the Wak Sports Stadium as hundreds of desperate applicants trying to scale the wall just to get inside. Now, moments later, the crowd gave way. Bodies fell, others trampled, leaving 6 of them dead. At least 34 people were rushed to the hospital. 17, we understand, are still battling for their lives. Tonight, the Armed Forces has called off the exercise in the Greater Accra region as investigations begin. My colleague Fatao Bayaga was stationed at the Wak Sports Stadium all day and has come into the studio with more details. Fatao, let's start with how it all happened. You've been speaking with eyewitnesses. How did this unfold?
So, Brace, as early as 1 a.m., some of the recruits said they came to the Wak Sports Stadium and their intention was that they wanted to be enlisted into the Ghana Armed Forces. And when the process began, some of them began to enter the stadium. And because of the huge numbers, others attempted to scale over the wall. So that was where the stampede happened. And many of them, in fact, said that the motive was that if they hadn't done that, maybe it would have been very difficult for them to get into the sports stadium, given the fact that the numbers were so huge. And we've been speaking with some eyewitnesses who have been telling us what really happened. So you were here, you witnessed the whole process. Tell me what really happened.
Okay, so I'll go by saying that I stay at Kaswa and I came here because I wanted to be enrolled in the program. What really happened today wasn't good at all. It wasn't. How things were conducted, we didn't like it at all. When it comes to set things, in fact, we Ghanaians, we have to increase, computerized system. What happened here wasn't good at all. How things were conducted, it was very, very bad. Our friends even ended up getting hit and items missing and all that.
Were you part of those who were scaling over the wall?
They didn't mean to. I wasn't part, but people that were scaling part of the wall was trying to get enrolled in the program, not because they were playing stubborn and all that.
They were simply desperate.
Yes, please. The place was choked, so everyone wanted to get access to the place and then to fill his or items and all that.
They called us and we came. So though it didn't went as we expected, as it should be handled, as it should be shared in categories. Maybe Army should be called on a specific day, Navy on a specific date, Air Force on a specific date. We were all piled up, called together. So I think that was what caused the overcrowding. But I'll say on the side of the armed forces, concerning their how they handled us, they tried their best, because it's not easy to control such a crowd.
So, I mean, at dawn around 5:15, when I was on my way to work, I came across, these people at the usual spot where anytime you get there, it's quiet. But today was chaotic, and I was like, what's happening? It was later I realized that, it could be the recruit. But you moved on to the 37 Military Hospital,
exactly,
where casualties, we understand, were taking. What did you gather from there?
So this news drew the attention of the president himself, who is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, the finance minister, who also serves as the defense or acting defense minister, Kasila Tuforsen, among other top government officials. They visited the 37 Military Hospital to speak with some of the victims and to gather first-hand information in relation to this particular situation. After that tour, the commander at the hospital, Brigadier General Evelyn Vivian Abraham Kwabia, spoke to the press seeking to clarify the casualties involved in this particular incident. We can take a listen.
I need to just get something straight. There's an erroneous information going out. The casualties we have that came through were 28 in number. Those who are dead are 6 and not 12. Those who are critical and in ICU are 5. We have 12 who are fairly critical. The rest are stable. Thank you.
Stay with me for Tao. Let me cross over to Kumasi, where President John Mahama has ordered the immediate suspension of the recruitment exercise. My colleague Maxwell Agbagwa is with the president and joins us live. Maxwell, what has the president been saying?
Well, the president commissioned embassy 61 and he also mentioned actually that the people who died in today's stampede were all people. He stated that the Ghana Armed Forces have been directed to halt the recruitment exercise and ensure that all the measures are put in place to ensure the safety of the prospective recruits. Right after that, he made that announcement. He saw the statement from the Ghana Armed Forces announcing that the recruitment has been temporarily, suspended, and an investigation also to start to unravel the circumstances surrounding the stampede. But indeed, you could tell that the president was very distraught from his demeanor. In fact, it was the launch of the Akoko Nkiti program, one of the flagship programs of this current government. There was a lot of excitement, in the Ashanti region, with the program scheduled to start at exactly 1 p.m. But that did not happen. But just when we were waiting, then we had information about the situation, in the Greater Accra region, specifically at the Wak Stampede. We got information that he will be at the 37 Military Hospital before coming to the grounds of the for the launch of the Akoko Nkiti program. When he arrived, you could tell that he was very distraught about what had happened. In fact, he said that he had information that there was not similar, but a close incident also in the Ashanti region.
Mesa your money na nti anope region bia ye kire omo bebia e wo so muhia na Accra akoye kropon no ye say dipa dodo a epie ye say omo hwe say adwuma no na omo doso yie na aho prepare ne ade a ehye ase abra ye bie gate no say nipa enremu no ma nipa ni bebre e de ahoɔden apia sɛ ɔmo kɔ ɔmo anim etimi ewura mu na awerɛhosɛm ne sɛ ebi ɛhwe ase ɛmeɛ tietia ɔmo so na mene mo kasa yi sɛnea yɛnya ne nteyɛ nipa nsia yɛmabunu ahwere ɔmo nkwa na dumienu bi nso ɛda hospital a ɛkyɛ sɛ ayɛ den nso yɛbɔ mpaeɛ sɛ ɔmo ho bɛtɔ ɔmo na nyame ɛnya awerɛho ama ɔmo enti meka sɛ soja mpanyinfoɔ ama yɛaso ate sɛ yɛmma nsia ɔmo nyinaa ɛyɛ mmabaawa ɔma hwere ɔmo nkwa ɛm sɛ Kumasi ha nso biribi kakra saa siyɛ a ɛkyerɛ sɛ nipa baako ɛm sɛ wepra dendenden a ɔda ayaresabea ɔno nso yɛbɔ mpaeɛ sɛ ɔbɛnya ahoɔden na nyame ahunu mmɔbɔ enti nkradeɛ no meka kyerɛ asogyafoɔ sɛ ɔmo ngyae ansa na yɛnhwɛ mu na yɛyɛ nhyehyɛ foforɔ sɛne ɛbɛyɛ a ne esi no nsi saa biom enti makasa no mɛsrɛ na obiara pagya ne mu sima baako pɛ na yɛde akae yɛnnuamaa a ɛkyerɛ sɛ ɛnɛ ɔmo ayɛ nyame deɛ.
Quite a sad incident which happened today. But let's bring in Parliament and bring in our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, because the acting Defence Minister has been in Parliament today with some new figures. Kweku, what do we know?
Well, according to the Finance Minister, the situation will be thoroughly investigated by a board that has now been set up by the military. He has also been providing the figures in terms of the people who were reported as casualties, were taken to the hospital. The number that died is still remaining at 6, by providing some further and better particulars. Listen to the acting Defence Minister, Dr. Kasela Tofosen.
Unfortunately, despite these measures, a stampede occurred at the Elwak facility in Accra. I regret to report that there were 34 persons who were direct casualties, some of whom are potential recruits and others, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, are not related to the enlistment at all. The Speaker, out of these 34 casualties, 6 persons have been confirmed dead. The Speaker, 5 are critical, and as we speak, they are the ICU. Right Honourable Speaker, 12 are fairly critical. The Speaker, the rest are stable and under observation. Additionally, there's a reported case of 1 person hospitalized at the Kumasi Recruitment Center, though that incident is unrelated to the stampede in Accra. The Speaker, in light of this development, the Ministry of Defence has halted the recruitment process in Accra until further notice. I wish to assure honourable members that in all other regions, the exercise is progressing smoothly and without incident. Right Honourable Speaker, the Ministry of Defence deeply mourns the loss of life and extend condolences to the affected families. We are working closely with the Ghana Armed Forces, medical teams, and law enforcement agencies to provide full support to the injured and to investigate the circumstances that led to this tragedy. Mr. Speaker, as a result, the Ghana Armed Forces has instituted an internal board of inquiry to investigate the causes of this unfortunate incident. Right Honourable Speaker, the safety and dignity of applicants remains paramount, and the ministry will take every step necessary to prevent reoccurrence of this matter. Mr. Speaker, I so submit.
Well, so that is the acting Minister of Defense, Dr. Kasela Tofosen. Let me take you to the 37 Military Hospital, because we understand that James Agalga, who is chairperson for the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, is there currently with the Speaker of Parliament. Grateful to you, sir, for joining us. Since you arrived at 37, what more have you gathered from this incident?
Well, thank you very much. And today is a sad day, and I would like to express my condolence to the families of those who lost their lives this morning, and to also pray for the speedy recovery of those who suffered various degrees of injury. Currently, I, together with the majority leader, some leaders of the House, have accompanied the Right Honourable Speaker to the 37 Military Hospital to visit the wounded. And so currently, the Speaker is interacting with the commanders of the various units within the 37 Military Hospital.
But I mean, how couldn't the armed forces anticipate this when their system possibly had indicated to them the volumes of people who had applied?
Well, these are matters that must be investigated. But that said, I must indicate that it was to forestall the occurrence of stampedes that this current administration decided that we would decentralize the recruitment process. So you would notice that across the regions, all the regional capitals, a similar exercise is ongoing. It's unfortunate that at the Elwak Stadium, we experienced a stampede. Like I said before, this is something that the military high command itself is investigating at their level. We have called for investigations even at the level of Parliament, and Mr. Speaker has actually tasked the Committee for Defense and Interior, which I chair, to look into the matter and report back. Right now, we are concerned about the situation in which the injured find themselves. Government on its part has responded very swiftly. The President, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, was at the 37 Military Hospital to commiserate with the injured. I know in the coming days, the President is one who is full of compassion. Definitely, the wounded are not going to be left unattended to. But in the meantime, he has ordered that the process of recruitment be halted to pave the way for the matter to be looked into, and moving into the future, steps will be taken to forestall the future reoccurrence of what we saw today.
And whether we'll be able to forestall or not will depend on what we do with the investigations. When would Parliament begin to look into this? As you say, the Speaker has tasked your committee to go into this matter.
Almost immediately. Once the Speaker has tasked us to look into the matter, we will immediately settle down to work and report back to him for further decisions to be taken.
And if you say almost immediately, do we know how long you used to do this exercise?
I cannot predict. What I can say is that we'll be very swift in dealing with Mr. Speaker's referral.
Okay. But do we know whether or not the dead have been able to be identified, as in who they are and where they are coming from?
Well, after the last time I got some briefing with respect to this matter, they were in the process of identifying the deceased persons. I'm sure in the coming days, the identities of the deceased will definitely be made public. There are procedures involved here. And normally what they do is they'll try to locate the families, inform them first before they publicize their identities. I think those are procedures that I'm conversant with. So that is what I guess would happen in this instance.
You have some knowledge about how security operatives or these defense organizations do operate. What was really, or what could be the end game of bringing all of these people to one place when it's not even possible to attend to all of them, looking at the numbers involved?
Well, I think that the investigations will come up recommendations. the reason why we had this year a decentralized recruitment, it was to ensure that things of this nature do not happen. But it looks like the sheer numbers in Accra, which is the capital, may have occasioned this particular stampede.
Which we should have known from the system.
Well, without jumping the gun, maybe you could say we need to do further decentralization, particularly in the capital region. That is a consideration worth considering. But like I said, we don't need to jump the gun. When recommendations are made, I mean, would be able to establish exactly what must have happened in the first place. So I don't want to jump into making conclusions.
All right, Chairman, I'm grateful to you.
Thank you very much
for joining us here. James Agalga is Chairman, Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Let me bring in the ranking member of the same committee, Reverend John Intimford. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining. We understand that Parliament Defense Committee has been tasked to go into this particular matter. What should we be what will you be looking out for when you go into these matters?
Yeah, good evening. So, first and foremost, condolences to the families who have lost dear ones, dear citizens, in this rather unfortunate and avoidable incident, stampede at Elwak. And our sympathies also with all the injured who are fighting for their lives, that they get restored to strength. But going forward on this matter is regrettable, really regrettable. We are calling for the entire process nationwide, the whole country, to be suspended. I've heard the president give indication that only Accra should be suspended. No, we insist that if we truly want to safeguard the lives of our potential recruits, all the centers, all the exercises currently underway must be suspended. We need to probe, and then when we reform, we can recommence. One of the key things to be looking at is the effectiveness of the decentralization, and also to review the applicants center by center. On the back end in the system, you would easily be able to analyze to determine the applications that are selecting a particular center. And so, having determined the number of applicants demanding for Elwak, Ashanti, and the other highly subscribed centers, one of the decisions that should have been taken is for further decentralization in those centers, the congested centers or the overly subscribed centers. Additional centers, 4 centers in Greater Accra, additional 3 centers in Ashanti. What the second factor they should have considered is also the scheduling. Even when you are further decentralized and created additional centers, you need to optimally schedule the numbers in a way that you can control and the way that it can be effective over the days. And then you send messages to only those you have scheduled for particular days. And then you follow with a statement in public education for potential recruits to follow strictly the date or appointment communicated to them for safety. But the other thing we will also be probing is the crowd control mechanisms and deployments they made in these overly subscribed centers. The preliminary information we are getting indicates that military police personnel who are trained and competent to handle such large crowds were under-deployed. So you may see some soldiers wielding weapons around, but the actual numbers of personnel with expertise, military personnel, who are trained to enforce crowd control were under-deployed. If the numbers we are hearing are true, then it was terrible.
In the next 30 seconds, with current development in technology, can't we resort to technology to try to do the exercise that we brought them, or we allow them to convert to at an area to undertake?
there are certain basic analysis that technology, data analytics can determine and eliminate. There are some part of the fundamental screening process that requires in-person, physical examination, document verification, and so forth and so on. So definitely there are some processes that you would necessarily need to appear. But data and analyzing it could easily guide you to decentralize optimally and to schedule in batches in such an optimum, fashion such that such crowd could be avoided. But the president in the statement suggested that on the day, because Accra, everybody wants Accra, they all crowded up. No, nobody just got up and they were invited by text messages.
Okay.
If they had not received the text messages, they would not be there. So it's not as if somebody applied today and got up or went there uninvited. And so a lot of planning lapses occurred.
Okay.
So a lot of probing has to be done, planning, crowd control mechanisms, military police deployment, a number of things. Even when we were advising that the politicians should stay their hands off military recruitment, they were all over on the media inciting, agitating their base, even overage NDC full soldiers to take part. They were advocating, we were advising them, you are treading on dangerous grounds. They didn't listen. We have to ascertain for the past. Fundamentally, there is serious leadership crisis in Ministry of Defense. Not for Defense. If we had Minister for Defense substantively, he would have had time to review all the operational processes and to provide very sound policy guidelines for implementation, and this could have been avoided.
I'm grateful to you, Reverend John Intimfojo, is Ranking Member, Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. This has been Top Story brought to you by Telecel, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil, and Shield Pension Trust. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Up next, after these, will be Newsnight.